If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way.
And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Stephanie.
Yes.
And I can't thank you enough for being here and having this conversation today.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about something like addiction, you can go anywhere and get talking head professionals talking about it, right? But that's not the real story. The real story is about the people who have, one, experienced addiction like myself, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but also the family members of people who have suffered through addiction, because it is an illness.
Yes.
It's not just something like, people think of addiction in a very narrow view because that's the way the media portrays it. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you sort of got to be where you're at today.
Okay. Well, first of all, I come from like a really big trauma background. So addiction's been present in my entire life, but not with me, just my family members. Grew up with an alcoholic father, very abusive, crazy, da-da-da. But that's an important part of the story because the abuse that the kids in the family suffered, not everyone came out the same direction. We have some people that just put everything into their career and built up and got up out of there and are living like, some people would be like, oh, they're living at the top. They have so much money, my siblings. And actually a couple of my siblings have said that. But really they just worked their butts off, got up out of the trauma and did that. I have other siblings, can only talk about one of them right now, who didn't make it.
Yeah.
He turned to self-medicating on the streets. So, and what the crazy thing is he's 10 years older than me, rest in peace. He is 10 years older than me. And he, I think, was undiagnosed autism. He was told he had a learning disability, but nobody helped him. It's part of why I do what I do. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
So nobody helped him. So he just felt dumb and out of place. And like his things were like there was just something wrong with him. So he started self-medicating on the streets to deal with the trauma in our house and to deal with society and to deal with school. And then bad things just continued to happen to him along the way. And I like literally remember being like 7 or 8 years old and him calling me for help from trauma, from the drugs, and him being suicidal, and me sneaking out a little kid to go help him and talk him down off the ledge. And that's literally, it was just like that trauma and the next thing. And he tried one thing, and it wasn't like he tried the light stuff. He always went straight to it. He got addicted to heroin real fast. And so he tried meth. But before he ended up passing down the line, just recently, in November, he was like in homes and group homes and things, and he was reaching for things like, oh, they're calling us saying, oh, your brother's drinking all the vanilla, because he's just looking for anything alcohol. Oh, he's drinking the rubbing alcohol. Like he just was, he was so far gone and on the streets and just willing to sniff or drink or inject anything because he was so addicted.
And the part too that I want to acknowledge in that piece too, because I remember going through something very similar. Right, I wasn't diagnosed as autistic until later on in life, and doctors wouldn't believe me when I say something's wrong with me. And so when you say something's wrong with you and you go to help, and then there's nobody to help you, the pull for self-medication is huge.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting any help anywhere else. And that is not the fault of the person who's trying to seek medication.
Right, 100%.
When doctors just like, oh, it's in your head, or it's all this, and it's all this.
Yeah, and you start just really feeling like, wow, there's really something wrong with me. And then looking at his other siblings, he's like, well, how come he's doing so good? And he starts feeling like angry at the siblings that were able to pull themselves out of it. Yet those same siblings are his biggest caregivers and but it's just a weird thing once that addiction hits, like the relationships and the families are just like, it's a battle because we're trying so hard behind closed doors and people are judging us and people are judging him and People are saying the most terrible things about people. And he was also an unhoused member of our community. I call him a people of Kaiser and then a people of Salem.
Yeah.
Because he was one of those figures that a lot of people knew. And a lot of people were probably quite annoyed with, because his addiction caused him to do things that were unpleasant to people. I myself got annoyed with him at times, but he was a familiar figure, especially in Kaiser. And he was just not himself since, like, I can remember. I think at 16 was the last time I kind of saw my brother, and he died at, I think he was 53 when he passed.
Wow.
So, yeah, he was just so far gone, didn't get the help. They didn't have the things in the schools. That's what I do for a living now.
Yeah.
For 20 years. So I work with all types of students and people. And then outside of that, I was doing autism therapy. And then outside of that, I do some direct support stuff with clients. But I have fought my whole life after watching my brother struggle to try to help everyone, because behavior is communication.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We need to recognize those signs. And I see things that are familiar to me with people I'm working with now, and they're little, and I'm like, oh, no, I got to help this family. I got to help this child. I got to help, because I kind of feel like I see their future if I don't. So it's important to step in and check on each other and get them.
Yeah, because the moment you realize that something's off, from a family's perspective, right? The urge is to come together and try to help that child, right? But then when you go somewhere and you say, I need help for my child, there's an answer of like, well, there's no help for your child here.
Agreed.
And so what do you do? And then people judge you because you're not doing enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. But the reality is, like, we're freaking trying here.
And the mental health crisis and getting help for that is a huge. Whew, don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. And we can't get help for our students that need it and are struggling. We can't get help for their families. We're like saying, oh yeah, this is happening. Big behaviors are going on. Like, this is not good. I'm responding all day to crisis. And we can't even refer you to anybody. We're calling people and they're like, oh yeah, they're good. And we're just like, and other people are like, oh, there's a waiting list. And we're like, okay, this trauma needs to be taken care of now while they're still young and they have a chance, because again, they can start, that's what I think of. They'll self-medicate and they'll end up on drugs on the streets and all the things. And I'm just like, no.
And it's cumulative, right?
Yeah.
I look at it almost like a ship, right? And the sooner you can have intervention, the sooner you can correct course and make sure that child gets the help they need.
100%.
The more you delay, the harder it is to push that ship back towards center and healing.
Yes.
And since there's this huge delay now, it's like so many kids are having so many unmet needs. It's scary as to what might be next if nothing happens.
I agree. That's why I work so hard in interventions, and that is my top priority. I feel like every direction. I myself, to be full disclosure, am taking 4 days of mental health break for myself.
Yeah.
That is because I feel like, I haven't really grieved on my brother. I haven't grieved on some things. I just keep pushing forward and trying to sprinkle kindness like confetti, and just trying to be that strong person. But I myself am finding that I'm getting I'm falling apart, and I need to take a minute, step back. And my team is very awesome, and shout out to my team. And they're giving me some time to do that for myself the rest of this week. I went to work today, tied up loose ends, and now I'm on a little mental break, but not the kind you're thinking. Just a relaxing respite for myself, because we need to do that, because the mental health crisis is hard, and caregivers too need that break. Because I always preach it, you got to take care of yourself first, but I don't practice it. So I'm working on that. But there's been moments where I also have had little addiction scares. I have a very addictive personality, and it was probably similar to your story, because what is happening? You get sick, you have surgery, you get hurt, you get handed what?
Painkillers.
Painkillers, exactly. So yes, that has happened to the best of us. It happened to me, happened to some other people I know, and I instantly, luckily, had a good support system, people helping me, taking those, throwing them down the toilet, and it wasn't great for me in the moment, but yes, those painkillers are a gateway because you're looking for a bigger fix. And I will tell you a dark secret of mine. When that happened to me, it was when I had a hysterectomy, and I was married at the time. Sorry, I'm smiling at my other half.
That's okay.
So, my ex-husband at the time, he actually flushed all my stuff down the toilet, but he was a trained medic from the Army, and I was literally so far gone on those painkillers, and I was in a lot of pain from my hysterectomy, and they just kept upping the painkillers. But I wanted to have that sensation of being like shot up like they were doing at the hospital with my IV, and I was literally for 2 seconds begging this man to get out his med bag and help me get that. And I'm like, whoa, that's how easy that could have happened. And I watched my brother at his bottom, and I watched him at rock bottom. I lifted him up. I cared for him, all these things. But that's how easy it was for me almost to want that same fix. And that is scary. So
it's huge. And something else that a lot of people don't understand is when you're talking about the Sackler family, which is the people that created the whole opioid epidemic, they knew about phantom pain when this stuff first came out.
Right.
And they knew not only was this addictive, but the more painkillers you take, the more your body craves painkillers. So the body creates that feeling of pain, and it intensifies with the drugs. And the mind, pardon my French, but the mind fuck for me that I'll never forget.
That's what it is. Mind fuck.
Yeah, because I left the military and I go see a doctor from the VA, right? And the doctor, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. Sends me 124 Vicodin in the mail.
That's the easy fix, especially, I hate to say it, but the military, that's your easy fix. Poof.
Yeah.
Throw them on some drugs and
then just every 30 days, here's another 144, 144.
Easy.
And then that same doctor has the audacity to chastise me because I'm telling him it's not enough pills.
Right. Well, he's addicting you to them. You want, yes, exactly. That's the crappy mind fuck, exactly what you said, that we're going through in this society right now. And then the medical stuff that's happening, people can't get their care they need, the proper care they need, but everyone's being pushed these painkillers, or pushed to have these tests done, and pushed to like get their medical bills so far out of hand that they can't pay them. And it's just a show.
It's a cycle.
It's a horrible cycle, and it scares me. And I have like my own I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I may even be functioning, masking some autism myself, because I'm really, really good at autism stuff, and I have a lot of things, but girls mask a lot more. So I even am scared to even do like ADHD medication at this point because of the addiction stuff that I've seen in my family and all the things. So I'm just really trying different ways. But it's scary. Addiction is very scary.
100%. And I had to quit cold turkey.
Yes.
Right?
That's what I did.
I would have loved the ability or luxury of going into treatment or having some sort of help through that.
Yes.
But I was so afraid of the stigma, and I was so afraid of how it's going to impact my life and my livelihood that I just never talked about it.
And that's the bigger problem too. And it's not, I mean, women are more apt to talk about it, but it's even worse for men because you guys have to be like this big, strong man, in society. So the mental health crisis for men in general is so much like more, it's forgotten about, and it's like masked. And then you see the suicides and the things, and they're crumbling, or the domestic violence.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly feel like that's one of the things that happened with my late husband. But he was military, put out on medical retirement after having being a gunner, being airborne, all these things. That was his livelihood, and then boom, just thrown out into civilian land with some painkillers and some pills for your PTSD and TBI and all the things. But then he's addicted to these weird pills again, and now he's doing other things, and it led to domestic violence. He wouldn't get the treatment he needed for his mental health crisis. So again, here we are. Shove some more pills at people. That should fix the problem, right?
Yeah. Instead, though, really what we need is mental health support.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how many countless people who are houseless right now, whose main barrier to self-sufficiency is mental health.
It is.
It's the biggest thing.
My son ministers to people on the streets daily. And sometimes I'll go out there on my own, but we're going to start going soon if anyone wants to join. But yeah, the mental health crisis out there, some of them just need help getting that under control. And then they're like, oh yeah, I can function. I can go to work. I can do the things I need to do. Like, again, I'm a functional person struggling with mental health problems right now. And I just am taking 4 days off coming up because I am at my breaking point. Now, if I had to keep taking days off, I very easily could be unhoused.
Yeah.
So we're not much different than the people on the streets. So we need to show them love, help them out, say hello. Don't be so scared. Of course, there is some things that happen with drugs, and you do need to be aware and protect your children. I'm not saying go off and investigate and be all up in someone who may be struggling with a mental health crisis. But these are humans. These are somebody's brother. These are somebody's uncle. These are somebody's son. We need to be kind humans to each other and remember, hey, what if that was your child or your brother? Because that was my brother. So
and talk about the impacts of the family, though,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is how it impacts everybody in the family.
It really, really does. And you go through all these different emotions. You go through, like, the caregiving, then you go to dude, like, this is, like, too much. Like, stop. Like, okay, we've tried to help you. Then you start to get a little resentful because you're like, bro, like, this is way too much. I can't have you by my family. You're being unsafe now. Like, we've put you in all the things. You keep leaving treatment. Why is this so hard? And then, like, I do that for so many years that you start even getting a little bit numb to it. And it's just like, yeah, I saw him walking, so at least I know he's safe. Like, and that's a terrible place to be. But that's kind of where it was. My brother died alone on hospice because he ended up with shingles and nobody could go to him. So he had someone, a stranger. I couldn't go see him. I had a medically fragile grandson that couldn't be exposed. And it was just all because it started with that addiction. But my other brother helped him forever. He did everything for him, handled all his finances, like all the things. Like, you get those phone calls all night long. Yeah. You're getting him showing up, beating on your door, cussing you out. The next second he's crying and super sweet and seems to be safe. He pulled a knife on my son who was ministering to him and loving him, and he loved because he was not who he used to be. He wasn't himself. There were demons. These are demons that they're battling. Addiction is not a choice. Nobody says, oh yeah, I totally want to lose my teeth and be sick and homeless. He lost his toes, you guys, because we got money for him to go to a warm place, and he still left the warm place and went and blew it on drugs and alcohol, fell asleep on the streets, got hypothermia because it was a very, very cold night, and we begged him, you got to go to this place. No, drugs and alcohol won that battle. He lost all his toes and still kept going back for another fix. That I don't think what little boy was like, when I grow up, I want to be on the streets with no teeth and no toes, and I want to die alone of shingles. That is not a choice. Addiction is not a choice.
And the other part that perplexes me to this day is just how little resources we spend for mental health for people in need.
Yeah, because again, it's just push the drugs, push the drugs, push the drugs, push the therapy, push the listening and the love and logic and kindness.
And the part I don't understand is that if you're really wanting to help this country, it starts with helping the poor.
Yeah, let's do some free
like,
medical.
People need
free
help
healthcare.
Because they can't, like, when you're dealing with, and I was, for a few weeks, I was living on an air mattress in a mobile home park in the middle of nowhere.
It happens.
Right?
Life happens.
Because I was too embarrassed to move back home with my dad. And I'll never forget, like, even though I had a job and I had all of these things, just that instability alone, rational thinking was out the window.
Exactly. And then throw in autism or ADHD or any other mental health crisis that someone might be dealing with outside of addiction. And then if you have that, like, no, you're reasoning and things happen and there's no one to help you. You're just gone. Like, I literally was crumbling on Friday. I almost didn't even go to our gig on Saturday because I was really falling apart, because it's just like one thing after another, and I couldn't even focus. My son was like, Mom, you need to lock in, focus. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He literally said that you need to lock in. You were acting very like manic and all over the place. I couldn't even, like, I'm like, where's my keys? Where's my glasses? They're on my head. Like, oh, like, no, your reasoning is out. You need help. I'm actually seeking some help right now. I'm trying to. But I know how hard it is even to find it from my students and and my own children if they need it. And so many kids are like suicidal right now, and we can't even get them help. I'm just like, what is going on? We need to invest in our health care and our mental health care.
And I didn't find a mental health provider with any experience with autism until 2 years ago.
That's the other piece.
And last year, I switched insurance, and he wasn't covered by the insurance that I switched to.
Of course not. So then you're like, oh, I finally found this great person to actually help me and give me the tools I need.
I was lucky enough that I could boost up my health savings account and private pay. I paid $4,000 for my own mental health last year.
That's ridiculous. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm in medical debt out of just trying to be healthy for once. And
that shouldn't happen to anyone.
No.
That shouldn't happen to anyone. In this country of ours, nobody should be bankrupt because they have a health problem.
Exactly. And
it makes no sense.
Elderly people should be able to get their medications. My mom, before she passed, was the same thing. She needed all these things, and she had a lot of things happening, but we couldn't barely afford it. I was trying to help her. She was trying to do it, and she's crying, and I'm like, no, we'll get your meds. Like, that's important.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. Like, that should not be a thing. And it is very much. And again, like, the stigma behind mental health is, we're still just barely coming out of the water. And I feel like it's starting to sort of be like, oh yeah, that could be a real thing. But the way, honestly, society is going right now, and I won't get political, but things are shifting again to like, oh yeah, it's not really a big deal. Just put those people back over here. And I don't want that for our world. And it scares me. It scares me a lot, because we need to be able to help our people with disabilities or mental health issues, or both tied together. We need to help the people that are just going through something, maybe need just grief counseling. Like, things happen, and we need to invest in our mental health and our health care in our country. We really do.
And I think that would be like the no-brainer investment that would lead to so much success.
Yeah, it really would.
Because, like, one of the huge things that I see that is a gap is you don't talk about any of this stuff in school, right? We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about support. We don't talk about all that stuff. And it seems like it's almost like we're teaching to be better beehive workers.
Yes. Go through the motions. Yeah. Just get in the hive, do your job, move on, go home. And I've never been that one. I've always been the one out. I'm not staying with the crew. But you're right. So a little bit of piggybacking on the school comment. There's very minimal. We do have like school counselors are trying to push in as much as they can and do like different guidance and like social and emotional learning lessons. Each teacher has a blocked out time now in the morning to talk about social and emotional learning. So sometimes we squeeze in a little bit of that, but no, it's not like that we need more of it, I feel like. And I actually just told a teacher today, it is okay to put your math on hold, because today your class needs mindfulness. It is okay to turn the lights down low. And I was like, she tried that one day, doing something of it, a little video, or even just calm. And she was like, yeah, it did work. And I was like, yes, that's awesome. Good for you. It's okay, teachers, to do that more often, because especially this time of year, we have kids that are getting ready to go out on breaks, and breaks scare a lot of kids because their basic needs aren't being met. And we do have parents that are struggling with a lot of the same things we're talking about today. So maybe those kids don't want to go home. They'd rather be in school where they're getting their basic needs met. So it's okay to stop, pause, and take care of your mental health. And sometimes the teachers need that too. So pause, let's just chill out, bring the vibe down, sprinkle kindness like confetti.
Because the reality is for some children in our society today, school is the safest place in their lives.
Yes.
And that says something, because school in general is not necessarily a safe place.
What breaks my heart is the amount of trauma I'm seeing that students kinder even like that young or have already experienced so much life that is not life for anybody to live. And they have just seen and been through so much already. So yes, we absolutely need to invest in the mental health piece because they need it, because they're blowing out of classrooms, they're physically aggressive, they're emotionally dysregulated, they're not having their basic needs met, they're only at school. We give them snacks, we give them regulation breaks, we have a sensory room, like we are doing it. So they're terrified, like, oh gosh, another break, it's not exciting for me. And I was kind of that kid. I wasn't excited for breaks. I was like, nah. I actually had a lot of great teachers back in the day when it was okay, don't take your students home. Back in the day, in the 80s, they actually spent a lot of time with me trying to mentor me during those breaks because they knew I didn't want to just go home and deal with more trauma. So, yeah, it's. I agree with everything you're saying. Like, we need to focus more on that mental health piece.
And then the other piece too. So I sort of started talking, tongue twister, about sort of my path for addiction.
Yeah.
And the interesting piece of the whole addiction piece is outside of opiates, I've never had a problem with addictive anything.
See what I mean?
Never. I've never drinking to excess.
Me either.
I've never, abused this or that. It was only opiates that were introduced to me under the guidance of a physician.
Yep.
However, I remember I was not in a healthy relationship at the time.
Right.
And my ex really held that to me and sort of held that against me my entire marriage, right? Because the blame game was there.
Yeah,
right?
she should have been supporting in that moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she would never, she's not. That's a totally
Another
different story,
topic, guys.
But the reality is that she blamed me for the addiction.
Yeah.
And she would hold that over my head to the point where, like, if I was going out and I had 2 drinks, and she would, like, hint to friends and family and stuff like that, like, well, what about your addiction? I'm like, I don't have a freaking addiction problem. I had a medically...
I call it almost medically induced pill addiction. Like those doctors are the ones that made that happen. So once you were clear of all that, I mean, I don't drink. I had 1 drink the other night, and that's very rare. Like, I barely drink. Most of the time, I'll have like a soda, like a Dr. Pepper or water or something. And I know my limits. I grew up watching what I don't want, and I'm very focused on not getting that way. But that pill thing got me. And like I said, I wanted more. I needed it. And I don't even know if I was still in so much pain. At the time, I was in so much pain, but was I?
Right.
Or was I chasing that high, that rush?
And I know now the answer is no, I wasn't in that much pain.
Right.
Because I'm in the same level of pain today than I was before I started taking the pills.
And you have other outlets that you're using, like even just probably this, for instance. Helping, because I'm in pain all the time. I have screws in my neck. I have a little scar right here. It looks like a thyroid surgery, but it's for screws in my neck. But I'm not on anything anymore. I just was prescribed such high doses and crazy amounts of really like oxy and all the things and Dilaudid and all this stuff that I'd just be like, I'm still hurting. And my husband would call them and they'd be like, okay, well, up it or send her more. I'm like, maybe call me in and check and see, like, push on my stomach from my hysterectomy, see, like, why is she hurting? Maybe something's wrong. Maybe there's an infection. Nope, just send in the pills to the pharmacy. It was that easy. Like, and I didn't even have to get out of bed. So, that's sad. That's scary.
And they really, really wanted me to up into oxys and into all this other stuff, and I would always just refuse.
Good.
I mean, I was on Narcos for like the 5-125 or whatever it was for about 6 years.
It's hard.
And it messed up my liver. All of these
that's
other
the other
things
part
that
they
happened.
don't even tell you. Like, I mean, they kind of do. Like, it's like, oh yeah, you have the little thing, but no, you're really damaging your organs.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh, the doctor gave it to me, so I should be good. No, you're not.
And I'm just following the doctor's orders. The
licensed professional.
And sometimes it was really hard to stick to that 4 hours. Right? Because like that urge and the pain level would increase like 3.5 hours. Your body knows.
Yeah, it knows.
And it just
like you said, the phantom pain and just, yeah. And also probably, so now, okay, this might be too personal and it might be another topic, but so when you went through that pill addiction, were you in your marriage?
Yes.
Okay. So again, I too was in an unhealthy relationship during that time too. So I feel like it was like the phantom pain along with like the numbing of some things. I don't know if that's the same for you.
100%.
Kind of like when someone's like getting high or drinking to numb the pain. I was like, just give me the pills. I'm just going to have to numb all of this.
And also, I didn't realize just how sensitive I was with my sensory inputs.
Right.
That it really did calm my sensory processing disorder quite a bit. And so it made life sort of tolerable in other ways that I didn't anticipate.
I agree with that statement. And that's why sometimes I think I'm masking, because I've been in that same situation where I felt like, I don't know if you've watched Over the Hedge.
No.
Okay, well, there's this cartoon, and it has a little, like, ADHD squirrel just going so fast. And he takes a energy drink to slow his world down, you know? And then he's able to just move with purpose. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, it just took all that sensory stuff out of the element, and I wasn't so overstimulated.
Yeah.
And it just slowed it down. And I was like, yeah, I got this. I can get through all of this life, this relationship. Yeah, I totally understand that feeling.
But it also has that unintended consequence of once you dull your sensory inputs, there's the other aspects of your life that it also dulls. And it's sort of like even keel across the board. And what I have found since I've stopped taking painkillers is that I can enjoy things more. I can focus on things more. Because while I'm enjoying the deadening of all of the extra sensory stuff, I lose a part of my capacity to process.
Exactly.
And so I just felt like I wasn't really me.
Yeah. You're missing out on the world. You're not getting to shine and just have your own feelings and emotions. You're just too numb. I hear that. And then I kind of lost my train of thought. I had something, but I was I interrupt a lot, so I'm really working on not interrupting you every 5 seconds. So it's fine. We can move on. If I get it, I'll be like, oh, yeah. I have a lot of squirrel moments, so.
It's all good. And then the other piece, too, that was surprising to me, because as I progressed and I got more training and more knowledge of addiction and how it sort of manifests in people, the need to subside that urge, the need to sort of make sure that you have your pills in place. Like, I couldn't imagine what I would do if I didn't have that steady supply.
The access, yeah.
Because it was given to me, and I didn't have to worry about it.
And that's why it gets scary, and that's why you see your criminal activity and the bad things that are happening out there, and people getting mugged and robbed and fighting for that fix because they need that, and they can't just call the doctor and get a refill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I 100%, I couldn't, I'm so glad that never crossed over into anything bigger. I say that all the time. I'm so thankful I never tried something hard as a teenager, because I'm so terrified to see where I would be now.
Yeah.
But
and you know, I ironically enough, I never touched any substances, including alcohol, until I joined the military.
Yeah, the military will do it.
Yeah.
Ex-army wife, so I paid my dues.
The military, you know, the need for escapism in the military is huge.
Yeah.
And I would do anything I could possibly to escape. Of course.
I can't imagine a whole nother topic how overstimulating that was, that whole situation. But to a degree, because it's also very structured and blah, 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 blah. So that was probably satisfying.
It saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, military definitely saved my life.
That's good.
Yeah. Both blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
Because I also was injured and I'll never be able to run again.
Right.
But who's to say I wouldn't have injured myself running and never be able to run again anyway?
True.
So you don't really know.
You don't know.
But at the same time, I can attribute my current physical condition to the military.
Yeah.
And so it's like a blessing and a curse.
Right.
But I also the part that's infuriating about that whole thing now, if I would have today, if you're autistic, they will not let you join.
Wow.
It's a mental health condition.
I
We will
didn't
not
know
let you
that.
join.
Okay. That's good to know. That's good
Which
information.
is horrible, because I know a lot of people on the
Way
spectrum
more capable.
that would be capable and would excel in that environment.
That is insane, though, that it's is that pretty recent?
Within the last few years.
Huh.
Yeah, within the last few years. Well, I don't know how recent it is. I just was
You just
become
heard about
aware
it.
of
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Like 3 years ago now.
Okay, yeah, because there's some people that do not have autism that should not be serving.
Yeah.
That it's not right for them. And there's some, you're exactly what you said, totally capable, maybe be the best out there, like at what they do. So, yeah, that's not a fair.
I know of 6 fellow soldiers who were amazing because they're autistic.
Yeah. The
They're just
attention
amazing
to
soldiers.
detail and routines and the sensory so many
rules.
things. And
Yeah.
the rules
Yeah.
and the regulations. Let's go. Yes, 100%.
But to circle back to addiction, though, because, I can't even imagine the loss that you all had to experience.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to what you had to endure, because that just, it's heartbreaking.
It is. And he had children, and those children don't really fully know their dad, they just know the trauma. He wasn't really fully involved with them. When he was scary. He'd do scary things to their moms, or have the whole SWAT team on him, because he was mentally he was just more worried about his fix, and he loved his kids. That's the sad part. He loved them so much. And so it was really hard at his funeral, because the kids came, but it was awkward, and his daughter luckily was able to have one last good conversation with him before he got sick, and they were able to say their I love yous and make peace. So that's great. His son, however, didn't get the luxury of that. His son has been protecting his mom from my brother his whole life, because he was a scary dude when he got on his drugs. So that was hard, because we're trying to also tell him we 1,000% know why you have your feelings, and they're all valid, because your dad was not kind to you and you saw a lot of bad stuff. But on the flip side of it, he really did love you. I promise. He loved you so much. He cried so much about you guys. He just couldn't get himself to where he needed to be the father they needed, to be the brother I needed, to be the son my mom needed before she died. And she tried, the really messed up thing is my mom had a stroke. Not a lot of people know this, but she had a stroke while on the phone trying to manage one of his episodes and I was there with her. So I'm like, I'm done with you. Get off the phone. What are you doing? And I'm go to her, and then 2 seconds later, she has a stroke in my arms, and then she ended up dying. So she fought till her death, literally trying to help her son. And I kept telling her beforehand, because I'm also a tough love kind of person, and I do behavior intervention, and I'm behaviorist. So I'm like, we're not doing this. That's attention seeking. We're gonna do this. I will make sure his basic needs are met. All this, but we're gonna help him. And sometimes I would be that tough love, and I'd have to be the one to shut it down, so she wouldn't have a stroke or get hurt, or he would be violent with her, because she was just a little old 70-year-old woman.
Yeah.
So I had to protect her. So sometimes I had to be the bad guy and be like, no. But she tried so hard. She did. She put him in she paid for all the different treatment centers. He would walk out, and you can just walk out. It's fine. And that sucks too. It's I know they can't fully hold you, but they can just go for a little bit and then just walk out, and then they're right back on it. So she literally fought till her death for that child. And I kept saying to her before that, we need to start teaching him how to be self-sufficient, because I'm not taking care of him when you die. We need to help him. I have children and grandchildren, and he's not even safe around them. So I can help to a degree, but I can't bring him in my home. I can't do that because he's not safe to be around my children. And I just kept saying that to her. So I'm like, we got to figure this out. We got to make a plan. And it wasn't. He couldn't survive without her. She couldn't fix him. So he essentially kind of killed her. And it's horrible. And it's all that stupid addiction. He was not his best self on the phone with her. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very straining on the families. He would show up late at night at my brother's house when my brother would be working. He would be harassing his wife and kids. He would show up and threaten his children's moms, like I said, and the SWAT team would even be called because he'd be so like violent. He took one of his kids hostage one time because he wasn't himself.
Yeah.
So that impact on the family. My other sister, after my mom passed, brought him into her home and tried to have him live with her forever. He destroyed like everything because he would like take things apart. He would like be doing weird things in corners and seeing weird things. And on top of that, he ended up developing, I feel like, because I don't know, it wasn't really there until the alcohol and drugs. But he became schizophrenic, so then he had to get injections for that. So it was just like so many things, and the family just struggling and crying and trying to help him and trying to be tough love. And you're like, what's the balance here? And there's no one to help. We'd be making all the phone calls, looking for resources, driving him to the next place. Like, there's no help. There really isn't. There's a limited amount, and there's good people trying, but it's not consistent. It's not enough.
In every turn, as the family's trying their damnedest to get help for a loved one, the people on the other side, the professionals, the healthcares, all that stuff are casting him off.
Of course. Of course.
As this person, that kind of person, the labels, the judgments, there's no curiosity, there's no effort. They're just like, whatever. But when you have like a family who's fighting for somebody, like how amazing would it be if you could have somebody on the other side
that actually
gives a damn.
Yeah, that gives a damn. Just give a damn. That's all.
Tiny little, just fucking give a damn.
Yeah, I think I give a damn. I mean, I'll never say too much because I will always love hard for everyone and care.
Yeah.
But you have to give a little, or just move on. Don't be in a profession where you need to be working with people or helping, or their livelihood is depending on your fucking attitude.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Yeah.
But literally, you were so dead on with that. It just hit a spot because you're right. Give a damn and don't treat this person and the family like trash, and do not cast stones. Come on. Just give a damn. Just want to help and not just be like, oh, I'll take these pills. Or no. There's got to be more.
Because at the end of the day, it discounts the journey that somebody has had to go through to get to that point. You know, and if you don't recognize that there's underlying trauma, that there's underlying this, that there's underlying that, and you're just throwing pills at the people,
it's masking.
It doesn't help at all.
It's not. And you have to get to the root of the problem. You can't just mask it and numb it, and you have to get to the root of the problem, or eventually it's just going to explode. Or what happens when the numbing pills are no longer available or no longer working because they just now they're addicted again to pills. It's just looking for more all the time. So they need to treat the underlying problems, like you said, the trauma, how it started, what's going on. Hey, let me just sit and talk to you for a minute, buddy. How are you feeling? Not just, here's your prescription, I got to get to the next person, assembly line.
Yeah.
Of people that you're going to throw some pills at.
Yeah.
And really just sit down, take a minute and just talk to this person and learn some information and try to figure this out a little bit more. I know everyone is rushing every 5 seconds in every aspect of life. I myself am trying to slow down. But doctors it's really an assembly line. I had an amazing doctor for many years that he treated all my family and my kids, and it was great, but he got put into, they went from his family practice to another corporation, and then it became you need to go faster, you need to get this person, that person, right? And he was just I'm done. That's not the kind of doctor I am. I want to sit down and take my time. If my patient asks me to pray with them, I'll pray with them. If they ask me just to talk and listen or say some poor choice of words with them and they want to cuss about their day, fine. But he cared, and it helped. And he got me through a lot of things, and he was one of my doctors when the other doctor gave me the pills I got addicted to. My family doctor was the one that helped me, get out of it. So, because he cared, and he sat down and took the time and didn't judge.
And One thing that I learned recently is the main reason that's the way it is now is the insurance companies.
Yeah.
So the insurance companies will only allow a doctor to bill for one condition at an appointment now.
It's ridiculous.
So if you go there and you have 4 things wrong, the doctor can literally only help you with one. Everything else he tries to help you with, he doesn't get paid for.
That's so ridiculous. That makes sense now because on my chart, if you try to book an appointment, at least it was for mine, it would literally be like, well, what's your main problem? I'm like, well, this, but I want to talk about this. It's like, well, we just want to know the one thing. And then I'm like, whoa, that's wild. Like,
and that's because the insurance companies will punish doctors now if they do more than one thing in one visit.
That's terrible. And no wonder they're so apprehensive when I'm like, while I'm here. No.
Yeah. Because I'll come with a list.
Yeah, me
And
too. I'm like, I don't want to go to 100 appointments. Let's knock it out. I took the day off. Let's do it.
Because there's the flip side.
And all the things.
If you do the 100 appointments, then your insurance calls your employer and says you may need to look at not hiring this person because they're costing you so much money.
Ooh.
So it's a double-edged sword in the
Okay.
insurance industry.
That's, the insurance industry. Let's have another episode on that.
Right?
Because, oh my, yeah, don't get me started with that situation, especially currently I'm going through some things, so, yeah.
But if we go back to the addiction piece, though, because, like, one of the things that I've encountered recently through a friend of mine is that there's just no beds.
That is true.
Even
if you're
if
having
you
a severe
want
mental health
treatments.
crisis or a drug addict, there's no beds.
Like,
You're right.
What is up with that?
I'm literally like, do I just need to start like homes? Like, is that what I need to put my energy to? Because I've seen it, like kids need respite, emergency help before they get to the addiction.
Yeah.
Adults are struggling. Like, I'm just like, I see good things in our community. Our pastor, actually, amazing person, has some homes that he's working with people, and he has some affordable housing he's rolling out. Shout out to Seed of Faith. So there are people out there that have those same, like, we want to help. The crisis is so big. We need more beds. That is it. There's no beds for these people, and that's very sad. What is up with that? What has changed so much that we need to get a handle on it? Because we're having a population of zombies, and it's very scary. They say zombie apocalypse. This is coming, and it's not the way we were thinking. It's the drugs that are on the streets and getting, like, my son just hadn't, like, he's always like around some shady, scary things, and I'm always just put it in God's hands. Because he's out there on the streets ministering to people and helping them and loving on them. And there is such, like, a person just the other day jumped out of the bushes over at the park and was like, fentanyl, blowing it. So that is where we are at, you guys. And that is so scary.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's these things happening in Salem, and these people, the crisis is just getting worse and worse and worse. And the population is getting big. I was taking food out to people in plates and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, there's like way more people on this section than there usually is. Okay, and it's growing, and there are just zombies.
Yeah.
It's scary. My brother, before he died, I told you sometimes I just had to be like, oh, well, at least I saw him, so I know he's safe, and go to work. One of the last times I saw him, I was actually at Dutch Bros in Kaiser, and I saw him across the street. And he was just like, his body, like the way he was flinging it, I won't do it, I'll lose my headphones. But I couldn't even physically probably do it because he didn't feel his body. So he was just flinging, like, and his arms, and like he couldn't stop. And I was just like tears running down my face, stuck in line and having to get to work. And I knew I couldn't help him. And it was just horrific to watch because it was so... Your body doesn't bend the way his body was bending, and it was because of whatever he was on in that moment. And that's scary because I've seen multiple people out there looking like that, and people are just filming or pointing at them, or it's literally back to, like, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Just drive on, move on. If you don't want to be the love and kindness and walk with love and do those things, then just move on, because you don't need to put them on social media. You don't need to tag everyone in all the crime pages, look at this on the crime sites. I see these things. I see people's loved ones, their pictures of them. And I'm like, that is, like, again, somebody's family member. So.
and I don't like the whole dramatization of mental health on TV.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have these shows that, you know, you encounter somebody who's having a mental health crisis, like on Cops, for example.
Or jail or lockup or those type of things.
Yeah. And they portray it as this evil person that's doing these evil things. And I recognize right away, no, that dude's got some mental health, something going on.
100%.
And he's not getting the help he needs.
Yeah, that person needs help.
And the other piece, too, that I don't understand, right? If you were to just take numbers alone and the number of people who have overdosed or died on fentanyl, if you were to replace that with any other disease, cancer, kidney failure, there would be a task force, you would have doctors assigned to it, you would have nonprofits, you would have fun, all of this stuff. But because it's drugs and mental health, it's
so we need to start a new challenge, kind of like the ice bucket challenge. We'll come up with something for that, because literally you're right. It's just families on their own looking around, and like even just support groups for families, so they could like just, you know, bounce some ideas off each other, like just connection and something, because there is nothing out there for these people. It's just the stigma and they're a bad person, they made bad choices, don't do drugs, oh look at that crackhead, look at this, look. It's horrible. So I get really, really angry when I hear people use terms like that. Any derogatory term that's putting someone down, I'm not gonna be about that. I'm going to shut it down every single time. So don't say anything crappy around me, because I will shut it down. You can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Like, just stop.
Because it doesn't take that much effort.
Just be kind.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I have in this journey in the last couple of years that I've been on. And really, because like I always thought I was just odd for wanting to be kind and being like human, if you will. But one of the things that I've learned along this journey is that there are so many people out there who are kind.
There are.
And want to do better. But they're usually silenced.
Yes.
And they're usually portrayed negatively, like, why the hell are you doing helping these people? And I'm like, why freaking not?
100%.
Like, I don't understand.
And how is that impacting you that I'm out here giving my time to the homeless? They smell like this or that or whatever. I'm like, well, then they need more love and care. Maybe they need a blanket and some fresh clothes and shower.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Like, don't judge me for trying to sprinkle kindness, literally. Like, we need, and you are finding them, and it restores your faith in humanity, I'm sure, a little.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Huge.
That was how I felt when I used to drive Uber and Lyft. I would get to meet different people, and we would just be vibing and talking, and all walks of life. Like, people that I probably wouldn't approach on the street. I mean, I might, because I'll approach anybody. Yeah. But some other people may not approach. And I would have the best conversations, and we'd be laughing and talking. I was like, finally, this is like restoring my faith in humanity. There are other kind people out there.
Yeah.
There are other nice people that kind of, okay, this is starting to come together. But yeah, we just need more things like this where you can like give them a little bit of a pedestal and some like platform to show, look, kind people still exist. Let's all get together. Let's do this.
Because I can only imagine on a daily basis how much hatred and vitriol and all this nastiness that people who are in a mental health crisis must face.
Yeah, they do.
Like the looks.
They do.
And like the people trying to run them over and all of that nasty stuff.
Laying on the horn, and they're out here. Like, I was at a concert in Portland, and there was literally a woman completely naked trying to cross the traffic and not herself, and just seeing like floaters, and everyone's like, get away from her. And I actually was like, I'm going to go like try to make sure. But then someone else came to help her, so I was like, cool. But then after that, I was over here standing talking to another homeless man, and everyone was like backing away, holding their purse and stuff, and he was just telling me about his last concert and life. He was just talking about like a band. I remember the last concert I went to. Which one is this? Like, we were just talking. He wasn't panhandling, he wasn't begging me for anything, and even if he was, he is in a crisis and in need, and he is another human being, and I'm still going to talk to him and try to help with what I can.
And I'll throw this other unpopular opinion out there, because it needs to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those people that say that they should just go the state or go and
job.
get something or other others.
It's not that easy.
When is the last time you applied for benefits?
Right.
Because I don't know about you, the amount of money for like food assistance, for example,
Yeah.
it's not even enough to buy 10
No,
meals.
and I remember when I was a single mom, just trying to raise 3 kids, not working a very good job. I got like maybe $50 at most a month, and I was like, okay, and like it wasn't worth it. It really wasn't, because it was not going to provide for my 3 children and all the things. So no, food stamps, it's not that easy. Plus, you have to have a home address. So you can't just go do those little resources, and you can't get a job without what? A home address. So it's not as easy as people say. It's like, oh, just go get a job like the rest of us. Yeah, I get it. But also, if they're mentally...
Also requires a shower?
A shower, you don't...
Clean clothes?
Clean clothes, you got to dress for success. So, no, it's not as easy. Are you going to give them that head start? My mom actually did that.
Yeah.
She brought a whole family home from the store one day. I remember that as a little girl, and I think that kind of helped instill another piece of that in my head. Like, yeah, okay, that's okay. And that person ended up it was a single mom who left like a domestic violence situation. She was homeless. She was on the streets with her kids. My mom went to the store, came back with a family, and they lived with us for a little bit. And then she actually got on her feet, ended up actually doing better than all of us, married and had a bigger house and job and successful, because she had a little boost and somewhere to say, I have this address, I can shower, I can go out and try to do this, and to go to an interview and have somewhere for the job to call back. Like, we didn't have cell phones then.
But it means all the difference.
It does.
Right?
You can't just say those
like,
things.
In my own experience, right, because of my military injury, I basically get universal basic income for the rest of my life.
Right. Thank you for your service, by the way. I meant to say that earlier.
I never know how to respond to that, but that's
I know.
a different
Just
story.
thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go.
But how much pressure that takes off of your life, knowing that no matter what, my rent is going to be taken care of.
Yep, you're not going to face that. Like,
and how that is not a thing for more people in need, I don't understand.
No, just a basic home.
Yeah.
You just know. Because I have students that are homeless too. Like, just not knowing where you're going to sleep. You're not focused for the school day, because you're focused on, oh God, I have no idea where we're sleeping, what we're eating. So, yeah, that should be like that, just the basic needs.
Well, and there have been
Housing
studies
is
upon
important.
studies. And if you take away those basic needs, you take away half of your brain capacity.
Yeah, like Maslow's hierarchy
like
of needs.
all of your planning out the window.
It is, because
all
your
of your
executive functioning. Let's
out the window.
go.
Yeah, right. and so you're holding these kids to this standard as if they have all of their basic needs.
Yeah, and
met.
they don't.
And they don't.
Because they're once that is out, then no, they're not. They're in crisis pretty much, because they're essentially in fight or flight, trying to figure out what is happening. What am I going to do? I do not care about your math. F you, teacher.
Yeah.
Like,
I have to worry about my parents.
Yeah, I have bigger problems, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to do adult processing in a 10-year-old mind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's my whole day, every day.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. And it's sad that kids have to deal with that.
They shouldn't. I know. And again, a lot of it does trickle to some people having those addiction issues and being the parents of some of those kids. I'm not saying everyone who I've ever worked with has a family with addiction, because there's still people unhoused that just life happened.
Yeah.
Like, it could happen to me any second.
Yeah. We're one medical issue away from being hostless.
Yeah, I am so not judging anyone ever at any time. But yes, if there is an addiction issue, then that is a bigger need, because I have had many students that are like, I don't know what I'm going to eat tonight. My mom's drinking again. Like, she's going to be here. We're doing this. I'm scared. Oh, or another person who's like, I gotta, please help me wake up my mom. She's passed out, and I'm worried about my little sibling that's home with, like, these are not things kids should be worrying about. Yeah. They should just be like, what are we gonna have for lunch? Let's go to recess. Let's do this. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild ride.
And we've been at this for an hour.
Yeah, I could probably go too long, so I might not be the right guest for this.
Oh, no. And the reason I bring it up is because I want to wrap up our conversation
Yes.
with an important piece. And what I would say to people that are going through addiction, or you have a family member that's going through addiction, don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't judge each other. Remember to be kind to yourself, too, because
Yeah.
it is a hard journey for the families. It's a hard journey for the person who's addicted. But don't forget, it's a hard journey for the families, and you need to really be able to be there for each other. It does drive families apart. It does drive wedges. It does ugly things to the whole picture, the community. So, yeah, you just be kind, don't judge, don't give up, keep pushing forward. And one of the things that I always say is my family, my children and I, we have a motto, it's 1 minute at a time, because things got real bad for a while, so it's just 1 minute at a time at this point. And I think that's a really good motto for people with addiction, because 60 seconds, you set a timer and you sit quietly for 60 seconds.
That's tough.
It is.
Yeah.
So 1 minute, get through that 1 minute, take a breath, smell a flower, blow out a candle, and get through the next 60. That's my motto, 1 minute at a time. And also, don't forget to walk with love and sprinkle kindness like what? Confetti.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I think that this was a good conversation, and I really appreciate you having me on.
I really appreciate that we had this perspective in this conversation as well. Be kind, y'all.
Be kind.
We all share the same air. We share the same space.
Yep.
And we need more love in this country.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.